our keynote speaker, National Economic Developer Laith Wardi of Executive Pulse. Now, we've been doing a lot of work together, and so I thought I would take a swing at making up an introduction for him, but the staff urged me to restrain myself. So instead, I'm going to welcome Laith to the podium to introduce himself.
I've never met Rebecca's mother before, even though we live, what, 15 minutes away from each other, right? So I told her I was from Erie, and she said, when did you move here? I said, no, I'm going back with you. I'm going back the same way you're going back. But, you know, when I was growing up, my mother always used to say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And as soon as I heard you speak, I'm like, now I understand where Rebecca gets all those attributes that you just put up there, so it's very nice to meet you. We will. I was just in Harbor Creek, by the way, unfortunately for a friend's mother's funeral, but it's a beautiful community. It's just a gorgeous community. So anyway, this is the second time I've had the privilege of being in this facility, and I've been reminded by a number of you that we have progress over here, don't we? We have pending progress. This reminds me, I did a lot of work for many years in Washington, D.C., and this reminds me of the metro and metro stops in DC, and you could always kind of gauge the economic vitality of the District of Columbia by seeing where they were putting metro stops, and this is what this reminds me of. We are here, and you used the word, Rebecca, intentional. You said what we're going to be talking about is intentional. Can I get my PowerPoint up, by the way, just briefly here, if you guys don't mind? So you used the word intentional, and I'm going to add a word to this about what we're talking about today. I am all about, and I'm 30 years plus in the economic development industry. I have my certification as a professional economic developer, as Rebecca mentioned to all of you. Not only that, but I do training for the two governing bodies in our industry that convey certification on other folks. So I get to see literally every year, now mostly through Zoom meetings, but I get to see thousands of economic developers, and my company does technology work across the US, Canada, and even places like the Bahamas, so I get to interact with economic developers all over the globe, okay? Here's the secret sauce that I want to lay on everybody today. Two things I'm going to mention to you, and then we're going to jump into this. Number one, if you're doing economic development that's difficult for people to understand, it's not going to be sustainable. Okay? When we look at images coming from Hubble, those folks at NASA and all the vendors they use, they can be complicated about everything. But ultimately, the images we see are simplistic for us. We look and say, oh my God, this is awe-inspiring. Economic development needs to be simple for the end user, and the end user is community stakeholders, business stakeholders, elected officials. They are the end users of economic development, so we need to make it simple. The other thing I'm going to mention to all of you is what we're talking about today is an embrace, a realization and embrace of the private sector businesses that are already making an investment in this community, that are already creating jobs in this community. There, and I'll get to this in a second here, Rebecca. I'm using this. This is so great. Okay. This is, when I talk about simplistic, this is what I want all of you to latch on to this afternoon. What we're talking about here today is a customer care program aimed squarely at the businesses that are already in this community. Okay? That's all you need to know. At the top level, at the 30,000-foot view, this is what we are talking about. There are three ways we can instigate any economy. Now I'm going to do a little economic development nerd speak for all of you here. There are only three ways that we can create jobs and investment in an economy. We can work with the businesses that are already here. We can start, let me go back here, we can start new businesses. Those are startups. And we can work with businesses who are currently not in this market that may want to make an investment here. Which one of these cohorts of businesses do you think are most important to us? Existing. You know why? These are people that are coming to us from tomorrow world. They don't have any experience about what it's like to pay taxes in this community, to try to find employment or employees in this community. to deal with government services, et cetera, et cetera. They don't have any frame of reference. They are going to be businesses of tomorrow. These folks, again, wonderful. It's great to be able to bring businesses in from the outside world, from outside of the market area, but they too lack any real visceral understanding of what it's like to do business in the market. The only people that can give us, for lack of a better term, tactile response are those existing businesses who have been here paying taxes, going through the trials and tribulations of running, and you guys all know this, those of you in the private sector or maybe married to somebody or significant other or friend or colleague that's in the private sector. Running businesses is difficult, and I'm going to say, drill down one more level, running small businesses is really difficult because small businesses lack the time and really the deep bench to be able to say, where do we need to go in the future? These are folks that need to keep their widget makers moving almost nonstop to make sure that they're making profit. But these are the three avenues we can pursue to create jobs and investment, not only in Federal Way, but it could be Erie, Pennsylvania, it could be anywhere, Seattle, it could be any community. These are the three avenues that we have. So why do we focus on existing businesses? I gave you some of these already, but I'm going to give them to you again. 80% of jobs and investment come from the businesses that are already in your backyard. And this statistic, folks, I'm going to use another state way, way away from here. Alabama has been wildly successful with international business recruitment. They've done a wonderful job of bringing in businesses from all parts of the world to fortify their aviation, their automotive industries, etc. Even in a state like Alabama, they find that this statistic holds true. This statistic holds true in South Carolina, in Georgia. We're going to go across the Atlantic Ocean. This statistic holds true in Ireland as well. It doesn't matter. Generally, on average, 80% of what you get back comes from those businesses that are already there. The second reason, I already alluded to this, but I'm going to say it again. The feedback from every potential customer, business customer, matters, but the feedback we get from our existing businesses matter most. This is the most important feedback that we can get. Getting the story of these people telling us their trials and tribulations, sharing for us their challenges and opportunities. This is the most important thing we can use to put together a better future for this community. We need to tap the expertise that these people have, their insights, their feedback to make sure that we're doing that. The third reason, it is 10 times cheaper to work with the businesses that are already here than to try to start new ones or try to recruit businesses in. So those of you that are budget conscious, and most of us should be today, because quite frankly, folks, federal dollars are going to be drying up. So a lot of communities are going to sink or swim based on their own initiatives, their own way of moving forward in the world. It is much more economical to work with the businesses that you already have to keep and grow them. So this is the third reason. The fourth reason, and this is my favorite, my personal favorite, anything you want to do in this community in the future, you need to be asking local businesses what they think. How do we do this? If you were putting this puzzle together, what would it look like? What does this mosaic look like for you in your industry? Local businesses will tell us everything we need to know to put together workforce programs of the future, buy local programs of the future. Any type of program, you look at what happened during COVID, most communities that were doing the type of program we're talking about today were ahead of the curve during the pandemic. They had embedded relationships with those businesses in their community, and those businesses told them exactly the pain points or opportunities that they were having during that pandemic, and it was easy for those communities to respond. So they're giving you essentially the keys to the candy store here. We need to be listening to those businesses. The fifth reason, we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes, this is really a team sport. The chamber is going to be facilitating this. Think about the chamber is going to be the focal point. I want to mention something here about the chamber's role in this program. This is in no way, shape, or form a membership drive for the chamber. If this becomes a membership program for the chamber, this program is going to fail. Quite frankly, what we want to do with this program, talk to businesses that may not even like, it's hard to believe, Rebecca, and I want to plug your mother's ears when I say this, They may not like the chamber and they may not like you. It doesn't matter. We want the feedback from those businesses, and our goal is not to get a membership from those businesses. Our goal is to get intelligence for them that allows us to craft programs, policies, and strategies that are forward-facing. That's what we're trying to do with this program. So this is a team approach. Rebecca's going to be hearing, the chamber's going to be hearing about needs. But Rebecca, the reality is the chamber can't provide the resources that the businesses need. So we have to look to our friends at the SBDC, our colleges and universities, our community colleges, city government, all of the people that we've been dialoguing with about this, the precursor discussions that we've been having. These are the people that are going to be our work team. And business retention expansion is ultimately a team sport. Economic development is ultimately a team sport. And many of you in this room, even if you don't realize it yet, are going to be tapped to be team members. So this is the fifth reason why. The sixth reason why is something I've said 3 times already, but I'm going to say it again. It allows us to craft meaningful programs, policies, and strategies, forward-facing. When we start to hear prevailing pain points or opportunities, we can say, if we just put this program in place, we can help a whole variety, a whole cohort of businesses. That's what we're trying to do with this program ultimately. There's nothing wrong with helping individual businesses, but the goal here, when we reach the zen of what we're trying to do, it's going to be putting in place programs that really touch and really help move the needle with multiple businesses. The last one, and the most important one from the business perspective, those of you that know local business people in this community, and it's not Federal Way specifically, it's every community across the US, Canada, Europe, typically local businesses are kind of taken for granted. Of course they're here. Of course they're offering services. Of course they're employing people. Of course they're supporting our local public schools, whatever it might be. Finally, this is a program where we earnestly say to the business community, thank you for making an investment here. We know you could be doing business over the internet, you could be doing business e-commerce, maybe you could be doing business in a larger market. You've made an investment here. We want to recognize and thank you for that investment. This is the 7th reason why this is an important strategy. So there are 4 elements, quickly, that we're going to be dealing with this program. We're going to focus on 2 of them today. I mentioned the Chamber's role. Primarily, the Chamber's role here is going to be bifurcated. The Chamber is going to be responsible for outreach and ultimately managing this initiative. So the Chamber is going to have a couple different hats on with this. Outreach is going to be, and when we talk about outreach, all I want you guys to think about here is how many times a year can we intersect or touch a business? That's what we're trying to do. Today, businesses are moving at warp speed. We see what's happening at the federal government. Things are changing minute by minute. Globally, we're truly in a global village. There's global competition, et cetera, et cetera. Businesses are facing unprecedented challenges, and the way we keep pace with those businesses is not meeting with them once or twice a year, but it's employing a number of other tools and techniques. So we're going to be doing one-to-one visits. We're going to be engaging in a lot of social type of events. We're going to be doing business walks by geography where we're touching dozens, if not more, businesses in one day. We're going to be using focus groups in person and virtually, and we're going to be using social media. These are all ways that we're going to be intersecting or touching businesses on a regular basis, right? That's what we're talking about here. It's all about building relationships, long-term relationships, and these are the 3 things that I want to really frame when we talk about this idea of outreach. It's about recency, frequency, and value. How many times can we touch a business? How often are we touching that business? And are we providing them with value? Are these interactions hollow or they mean something to the business, right? I'm just going to give you guys an example. This is a lame example, but where I live back in Pennsylvania, I actually live in 2 states. I live in Pennsylvania and I live in New York. I have 2 different electric companies. You know that, Rebecca?
Yeah, Lake House.
Yeah, my lake house has, we have a different utility provider. My one utility provider, the only time I hear from them is when they say you owe us $179 for your electricity bill. Okay, I know I do. Here's a check or whatever. Here's my online payment. The other one literally will say, hey, we're gonna get strong winds tomorrow night. Are you sure you batten down the hatches at your property? Make sure there are no limbs overhanging your... Now, I know those are messages that go out to a bazillion of their subscribers, but it still says to me, they're thinking about me. So if I have to make a choice between those two providers, the one that touches me all the time, even though I know those are canned messages, they're still tapping me on the back and saying, we're here, we're thinking about you. One other quick message. Delta, approaching the last election. Delta sent me a message like 3 months before the last national election, said, hey, you're going to be in the sky that day. Make sure you vote early. Okay, I love you, Delta. Thank you for saying that. I wasn't even thinking about voting early until you told me to do it. Again, Delta sent that out to a bazillion of the people that fly Delta aircraft every day, but it made me feel special. So all of these touches don't have to be moving mountains, but we need to let businesses know that they're always in our grill and we're always thinking about them. So this is the front end. This is the front-facing part of this. Really quick, the back-facing part of this are all the team members that we are going to be bringing together. Transportation, arts and culture, city services, chamber services, SBDCs, all these type of services, childcare. These are all the things that businesses are going to be asking us about. We need to make sure we have a deep and wide bench of partners that can provide services for businesses. So these are some of the services that we're providing, and these are some of the partners that have already agreed to jump on board with us. And I'm just going to tell all of you that we started small, but we're going to be building out. Rebecca, what did you want to throw in
I
here?
think we need a round of applause to everyone that stepped up to be a partner before we even hit.
So I mentioned I did work in Washington, D.C., a similar program in D.C. I did work for many years with the folks in Seattle on a similar program. These programs should provide residual, not just for existing businesses, but they're going to allow us to do smart entrepreneurial development, smart workforce development, smart business recruitment. If the city says, hey, what program can we offer in the future that helps make a permitting process more friction-free, businesses are going to tell you what you need to do. So this becomes a really great way for partner organizations to say, you know what, they're telling us we could do things a little bit different. Hey, maybe we need to offer a different product or service, or maybe flip things on their side. But these essential services, we're starting small, we're building out. Many of you in this room we're going to be tapping in the future as we build this team out. I want to use an analogy with the team, and then I'm going to stop in a second here. This is like the old religious revivals that would come on the outskirts of a community, and you'd have a preacher and they'd have a tent, and they'd say, hey, we don't care what your denomination is or what you believe, come on and sing with us, worship with us. That is what we are talking about here. Every person in this room will have a role to play in this. Many members of the community will have a role to play with this. In this process, we want to make sure that we tap everybody. This is going to not be one of those things where we're saying who's not on the team. It's why aren't you on the team? Why aren't you part of what we're trying to do here? This is going to be real exciting. Next phase, we're going to be doing a geographic business walk. We're going to be doing some focus groups. But this is really going to be an exciting time here in Federal Way. This is a graphic. I said I didn't want to make this complicated, and this is probably I should have left this graphic out. All this is showing you guys is, look, the chamber is going to hear things from businesses, and we're going to make referrals. Those referral partners are going to go back to businesses and work with them, making sure that their needs are satisfied. And ultimately, we're going to be able to use this information in aggregate to craft better programs, policies, and strategies. Rebecca, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Should we do a little quiz?
You can, sure, let's do it.
So on the QR code again.
Let's look at that, because one thing we have is a lot of research, guys, right? Not that one. So there's some questions. First question. Loud. Come on. Okay, first question. What percentage of Federal Way businesses employ less than 10 employees? I can't read that. Can you read it? Okay. What does it say? Is it giving me the percents?
It's guesswork what the percentages are coming.
What do you think? I can't. It's 68%. 68%. Okay. Yes.
Retention is, what we're talking about is important for every business, but I said this earlier, I want to make the point here, it's most important for the small businesses that say, we don't know where to plug in, we don't know where to get those resources, I don't have the time to go to a meeting to find out, can you please concierge and help me get the services I need? So the small business angle is really important here.
Right. Okay. Washington Focus Industries for Growth for the state, which offers the highest average salary from a resident of Federal Way. Done? Ooh, keep going. It is in fact information and communication technology. Okay, that's followed by aerospace. Information communication tech is 209,000, aerospace 172,000, maritime 117, forest products 87,000, life sciences 82, and agribusiness 69,000 more or less. Of the key Federal Way sectors, which offers the highest average salary? This thing is fun. Why is the hard happening? What? Oh, yeah. It wasn't in the word cloud. Oh, look at all. This is the chamber using disruptive technology, in case you're wondering. Okay, are you ready? Because this is a little bit eye-opening. It's business services, $195,000 average salary, followed by construction at 102, healthcare at 81,000, retail accommodations at 54. Right? You've heard we say this. What percentage of jobs and investment are created by you? You go as fast as I do. I'm impressed. Are created by existing businesses. We know this because we are the creators of wealth. Shout it out. 80%. So this is from the sector, the new stats for the sector data report that we've been doing annually it should be up by the end of the week. So we'll have next year's aggregate all together in a book coming soon where we're tracking these. We're also going to look at a trend analysis for all the years we've been doing this. So there's some sector data reports over on the table, and it's also online at federalwaychamber.com. Was that fun? Did you like that? Interactive?